All right, so we're here again. We this is our third video in a series of 3. And if you've been watching, the first video was we're talking about marriage and being tired of marriage. So that was the whole premise of this.
It started, yeah.
These series. And so the first of 3 was dealing with undiagnosed mental health in marriages and how that could be a strain in the marriage and making couples tired of their marriages. Mm-hmm. And the next one we talked about being tired, your careers, and that can be exhausting while trying to be married. In this one, we're talking about parenting. And this particular being tired as parents, we had, a couple of comments, and one of the comments was very, very good. Thank you for sharing, you know who you are. And she had shared the stressors of, you know, parenting. Her and her husband are parenting young children. Yeah. Which is a stressor.
And added to the work stress.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then there are parents who
have... gotta email her back. Sorry. You know who you are. I'm gonna email you, girl.
And then there's parents who have children who are toddlers and adolescents, and then parenting teenagers, and then parenting young adults who are transitioning out of the house, 18, 19.
They're all different types of parenting based
on parenting
age.
Across the board, you know, we won't be able to address how to respond or what to do in each of those areas of your parenting, but we're just trying to give because we're experts in the field of parenting, because we have 4 children.
Yeah.
We have
we do.
Our oldest, most of you don't know, Danielle, she's 36.
Her of 2, wife, and doing great.
So we're grandparents.
And she was 8 when I met her.
Yeah. So we're grandparents of 2.
Yeah, I'm not a grandma, I'm a honey.
And I'm a Depop.
Yep.
And our children we have together, we have Sion, she's 24. She'll be 25 on the 22nd of this month.
Next week.
And Sai, she's 18. She'll be 19 in August.
And she's away as a freshman in college.
And Derek the second, he does not want to be called Little D. Derek the second, he is 14 years old.
He doesn't want to be called Little D?
No, he told somebody, no, that's not my name.
Oh. Well, I call him Lorenzo. That's his middle name, so I don't really call him that. But I didn't know that he didn't like that. No, well, I mean, he's almost Derek's height.
Yeah.
To pass you out, and he eats like a horse.
Yeah. So we have experience in being parents. Some people say we don't know what we're talking about.
Right,
but in this case,
and we also counsel. We're Imagine Family counselors, so we also do family counseling, which involves parenting. So we know it professionally and personally. I would say that we can speak to it. Right.
Okay.
So, parenting can be stressful, and it doesn't even mean that anybody's doing anything wrong, but just depending on the ages of your kids. You know, our kids are now older and one in high school, but when they were younger, you guys heard the first vlog of this series where we talked about Derek having to go from DC into Maryland, and me coming from Baltimore County into another part of Maryland to get the kids. And that time of our life was very stressful because little D was 3, Sai was 7, Sion was 13, and they had different needs, and they were in different schools and different grades and all of that. So we can relate to those that are still in that season, that whole picking up, dropping off, dinner and homework, and oh my goodness gracious. And we're at a place now where homework is kind of like self-administered by our son, and the girls don't have homework. Sai's in school, so Sion's an employee now, so she doesn't have homework. She's out of grad school.
So our stressors are not
like they used to be, but we do understand those stressors and how we coped.
Right.
One of the things that I remember that we used to cope was Derek and I were very ferociously protective of our date nights. Back then, we lived in the Maryland area. We had a strong support system. We had my mom and dad Our kids will often go to their house or their godparents who lived in that area. And so we actually had a community of support so that we could go on dates and enjoy trips and do those kind of things on the weekends. So that helped us with our stress reduction. We're not sure what other people do for their stress reduction, but you can definitely put it in the chat and tell us. But what we will say is if you're not careful, parenting can swallow up your marriage. And before you know it, you'll be passing each other by like strangers. Please don't do that. Please don't let it happen to you. Years ago, our pre-marriage counselor gave us an analogy of the marriage representing an apple tree and the apples being the children that bore fruit from the tree. And his analogy was long after the apples are gone, you know, moved on, eaten. Well, kids, you're not eating them, but you know, from a tree perspective, the tree still needs to bear leaves and thrive and function as a tree. And that's the marriage. So if you ignore your marriage, you don't nurture it, you don't water it, you don't care for it, and all you're caring for are the apples, when the apples are gone, there won't be a healthy tree left. The tree is your marriage, if I didn't say that before. So what are you doing to take care of your marriage in spite of the toddlers, in spite of the kindergartners, in spite of the elementary and middle schoolers? How do you find time? What do you do? Now, I'll be honest with you. If you don't have a village of support, it's going to be harder for you. Now, let me say this. I understand the need to protect our children. I think we need to vet who watches our children, but there are some parents that you won't even do that. You're like, nobody's going to have my kids. Nobody's going to watch my kids. Nobody's going to take care of my kids. I don't know who's out there. And I mean, there's a legitimate concern about that, but there's got to be somebody you trust. Because if you don't trust anybody at all with your kids, you're going to be exhausted by the time they're 18. It's also good for them to be exposed to other people interacting with them other than you, so that they can have a variety of experiences with people, and that makes them well-rounded, right? So we were so blessed to have a village. Back when Sion was born, there were about 9 of us pregnant at our church. And our pastor would tell everybody that came to visit not to drink the water because there were like 9 pregnant women walking around in the church. Can you believe that? It was hilarious. But that became the village. Like these children are still friends to this day. They're all turning 25 and 25 next year because some got pregnant on the latter end of the births of others. But they are all still close. And that village saved us and we saved them. We had parties and sleepovers so they could drop their kids off. Sometimes they'd be dropping them off so fast we couldn't even say hi and hug them. They'd be like, hey, y'all, and drop the kids off. But that time that we had helped us cope with the stresses of parenting.
Right. Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. And you smell good.
Thank you very much.
Man.
Like a bloodhound.
It smells good.
Thank you, babe.
It does something to me.
All right now.
Makes a tingle. Okay, let me focus. I wrote down 2 things. So Sonia said, okay, protection, and she gets it. I just want to make 2 points on parenting. One, why are you laughing? I didn't laugh when you were talking. Why don't you smell me? Tell me if I smell good.
No, keep focused. Stay focused.
Smell me. Go ahead, right there. That's 8 hours of just not showering right there. Okay, so protection. So here, check it out.
Oh, my Lord.
It's important. See, okay, we're social workers by trade. Mm-hmm. And we believe in protecting children. And we get it when husband and wife are going at it, they having issues and conflicts. It's hard to see where the children are, to make sure they're not listening. But we have had so many situations when trying to help families that they don't think about the child being exposed to the conflict or exposed to the high stress in the in the house, and children feel that, and it becomes traumatizing for them. It really does. So protect your children from yourself. Protect your children from yourself, because when tensions get high, people don't think about the kids.
Right.
And the words that are being said, and they're confused, and they're scared, and they're, you know, and then when you see behaviors that are taking place at school and in the home, the parents want to put the kids in therapy. And we don't meet with children who we don't meet with the parents first, because we talk to the parents first. How you guys doing? Yeah. And usually, I was listening to the radio, and there was a statistic saying that children with anxiety, 70% of children with anxiety, the parent, one or more has anxiety.
That's a fact.
So,
that's a fact.
So be mindful of what's taking place in the area of your child or children, which ties into my second point: self-care. So if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not able to take care of your children in a high level, because taking care of a child or children is a lot. Depending on the age, it's a lot. And you have to work, or some may work in home, but it's a lot, and it causes stress, and it can create anxiety, and it can create some other mental health issues, tying into the first vlog that we did. So it's important to self-care. What do they say when you go on the flight, when they do go through the safety procedures? Put your oxygen mask on first. Right. Then you put it on your child.
Your child benefits.
Alright, so if you don't get on oxygen, you're going to die, right? You're not going to be able to survive this. Go to your regulator, get all three switches up on your regulator. Alright, go to your regulator, get all three switches on your regulator. Alright, let's go ahead and put him on for him. Let's get him back on. Alright, let's continue on with the shape box.
So we're going to square?
Yeah, alright, good deal, good deal.
Circle?
Look at that. See, that right there proves how much he's already gone from hypoxia back to feeling 100%.
But this is really important. So this is why on aircraft, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on before you help younger children.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
Because you want to be able to have the mental awareness to be able to save yourself and save others.
If you're waiting, what can happen is that
child benefits from a healthy parent when the parent self-cares.
Yeah, so self-care, and whatever that looks like for you. Take your breaks, support system. We were blessed to have a strong support system. We're blessed to have a strong support system. So if you have a support system, tap into that. Your own self-care, working out, mindfulness, eating right, taking care of yourself first, and then you'll be able to take care of your child or children. We want to share this with you, so we want to give you some tools as well. So there's a tool that we're going to put at the end of the video, so you can download it yourself. It's going to cost. It's one of those subscription things. You pay for it. Make sure you cancel it, but get the download. Make sure you cancel it. But it's the Parenting Stress Scale, and I'm going to we're going to send that to you in the link after the video. So pretty much it's a questionnaire, and the questionnaire it covers it measures the level of stress experienced by parents, and it takes into account the positive and negative aspects of parenting. It's a pretty good scale, and you can read the criteria and the tools and the assessments and all that kind of stuff. But we recommend that if you want to see where you are in your stress level with parenting, just parenting, take a look at the end.
The thing about stress is it's tricky. You may not even realize that you're stressed, right? Which is why we want you to take the inventory. A lot of the times people are just functioning. They are coasting, and stress is their norm. So they don't even realize that. So if you can identify what level of stress you are on, then you can do something about it and be intentional, right?
Right.
So.
Right. Oh, last thing. Spiritual gifts inventory for your child.
Oh, yes.
You need to know what your child's
Yes.
spiritual gifts are. We were blessed to know what our and see, once you know what the spiritual gifts are, then you'll know how to connect them with that particular gift.
Yeah.
And so we recommend that. We'll put that at the end of the video so you can have that link for that. But to have them take that spiritual gifts inventory as well.
Yeah. The sooner you know it, the better you can nurture it. And it gives them a sense of confidence. It gives them a sense of purpose. It gives them a sense of God, because God is the one that gives those gifts. And Apostle Paul talks about that in Corinthians. Everyone is given a gift, and it serves different people in different times for a different purpose. And even our children have their gifts. So we have seen our children use their gifts, which help us see what direction to steer them in and steer them from. But if you're stressed, you won't be able to see that. Right. So we really want you guys to think about how much stress pours into the way that you parent. Are they just being supervised and not parented? Many people are supervising their kids. Yes, no one's going to watch them. We have them. I've laid eyes on them. I know where they are. I know what they're doing. They're going to bed. They're waking up. I know the school. I know the teacher's email. So you're supervising them, but parenting them requires a holistic approach. It's the emotional, it's the spiritual, and it's even the sexual. Okay?
That's good.
Thank you.
You're getting some good word today.
I appreciate that.
And you smell good. So the other thing is disciplining your children. If you have more than one child, you can't discipline that child like the other child.
Oh, yeah.
You got to know their temperament.
That's real.
You got to know the child, their makeup, how they move. So keep in mind that you can't discipline your child the same like the other children that you may have.
I hope you know that, because temperaments and spiritual gifts make them individual and make them unique.
Right.
Even though they get their temperaments from 2 parents and 4 grandparents, their temperaments look different for the different gender and the different age. So kind of keep that in mind. You can't parent. Our 3 kids are completely different, all 3. I mean, well, Danielle was gone when our other kids were at a younger age, but Danielle has Derek's temperament, so it was kind of easy to navigate her. She's like the chip off the old block for real.
Cool and chill.
The other 3,
laid back.
Yes, very laid back, very laid back, and easy to love. You have some kids that are easy to love,
and we're compliant,
and respectful. And then you have some kids that are going to challenge you.
Just push the envelope.
But it's okay because they're saying something.
They're pushing it.
And here's the other thing, guys. You can call her out. Here's the other thing we want to teach you. Behavior is their way of communicating something, right? So if you have a child who is misbehaving in school, they're saying something. Derek and I met working at a special educational school in DC. That was where we actually met, and that's where I was a therapist for children with emotional disturbances. And we would often have these team meetings. Derek would have these students at the residential program where they lived, and I was their therapist in the school. And he would share with me behaviors that they had in the residential location, and I would share the behaviors that they had in school. Some of the behaviors that they had in school were very different because it had to do with their feeling of inadequacy in the learning environment. So when they were at home, they were a different kid, right? So we are saying that because children's behaviors will tell us something, what that told us. So Derek and I would have these meetings like at dinner or something. This is when we were dating, and he would tell me about their behaviors, and I'd be like, interesting. There are nothing like that in school. You know, they're combative and resistant to direction and all that. You know why? Because they did not want to sit and read, because some of them had reading disabilities.
Right.
So, you know, understand that if your child is misbehaving, here's the thing about behavioral health. If your child had asthma, you wouldn't say, oh, they got this asthma again, we gotta give them my... You would say, oh my goodness, let's get them a nebulizer, let's get them a rescue inhaler, right? But when it's behavioral health...
I want to spank them and give them a switch and stand in the corner, and I'm tired of this. They got ADHD, they got OCD,
oh my
they got,
goodness.
Lord, come and get them, save them children. Now we got to go old school and get a switch. We're going to take... I'm sorry.
And it's true.
But that's what we do.
But if it was a medical health issue, you wouldn't take the same approach. Behavioral health triggers our feeling of adequacy or inadequacy in our parenting. Right. So if there's a behavioral health issue that you're not familiar with, you're going to go discipline.
Well, we understand that the behavior is triggering you and it stresses you out and you get overwhelmed and you don't know what to do.
Right.
If you don't know what to do, then ask someone to help you to know what to do. But don't resort to those kind of corporal punishment consequences.
Right. You know? And it's not an easy fix. But what we are saying is step back and remember that their behavioral health, just like their medical health, is telling you something.
Yeah.
You know, when your child wheezes, you know they need their rescue inhaler. So if your child is misbehaving, interpret what it is they're saying through their behavioral health.
Right.
And get some help.
Yeah. So we got to close out. But that was a good point. Some of you guys are old school parents, you know.
Well, and some children respond to old school and some children don't. You know, again, that's why you got to know your kid. Yeah,
when I say some of you guys are old school parent. I'm an old school parent, but I realize that this is not 1965, 1970, we can't discipline children like, you know, we may have been disciplined growing up. It's a different world. It's a different era. Our children are different.
Yeah.
They're a little bit soft. They're a little bit soft. We know it. They privileged. They got all the devices. They a little privileged. We kind of spoiled them.
They're exposed to so much more than we were in the 60s and the 70s. So because of that, we have to adapt.
Yeah. Adapt. So
anyway. And some parents don't want to adapt.
Right.
And that's why they
hopefully this was beneficial to you. We're going to end.
Yeah.
It's beyond the limit of our time.
Yes.
22 minutes. And
longer than most. But this was important enough to spend a little bit more time. But now that you know
what you're going to do with it,
we hope that this was helpful to you.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. Our next set of series is going to be on, because we covered the 3 in a marriage. What are we covering, honey?
We're covering trauma. Are we doing trauma? What's the one we did in Alabama? We're covering trauma.
Oh, okay. So we're going to do a trauma series.
We're covering, I think that's it. And if it's not it, then...
Oh, that's right. Yes. We're covering...
Because we did that.
We're covering, again, going back to how you might emotionally respond to your spouse.
Right.
Because it has a deeper root.
Right. Was that irritating you when I was smelling you while you were talking?
I wasn't irritated, but I don't know. They might have been.
Well, some of y'all need to smell each other. I'm just saying. Well,
okay.
Don't get mad at me because I'm smelling my wife. And she's smelling my underarm.
I didn't smell it.
You smell it?
No, you put it up there, but I didn't smell it. We're about to end, honey.
Right there. Great. Right, just right there. Go ahead. One time.
Good.
One time. You know you like it.
I'm so good.
You did that before.
I'm really good right now.
Bye.